Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Need Some Introduction. I'm your host, Victor, and on this podcast, we go week to week breaking down one of your streaming favorites. And this particular episode, we'll be breaking down a very popular show, at least a critical darling for sure, the season finale of Widow's Bay. I'll be breaking this down with Darren. Darren, how are you doing this week?
Yeah, really good, Victor. Busy, but managed to squeeze in a season finale of a very popular show. I hope it's popular. I see it's been renewed for a second season, which I'm absolutely stoked at. And that kind of softened a little bit of the blow of this episode that I know that there's going to be future episodes to come in the new Martha's Vineyard.
There's some indeed, not quite the new Martha's Vineyard, but they speaking of the popularity of the show, at least among critics, this was a popular vote though among viewers and critics. But there's like some organization that is affiliated with the Emmy Awards, and the Emmy nominations are going to be announced in just a couple of weeks. But they had an online poll where people could vote for their favorite new character of the season, and the winner of that poll was Patricia. Patricia is the favorite new character of all shows this year, and I'm like all for it. I'm like, that's correct. You picked the right character, everybody. Patricia is the best new character of the year, for sure.
Yes, full marks. There's Patricia, and then there's Daylight, and then I don't know who there is.
And then I don't know who else is there. Tom's up there somewhere, but there is a large gap between him and Patricia for sure. Before we get into that, you watched a movie that I also watched. I recorded a conversation with Alan about it and was not able to publish it because it's been a very chaotic week. But Alan and I will be discussing some of these big science fiction shows that are premiering starting this week on Apple TV+. There's already this For All Mankind spin-off series, Star City, which I've been watching. It's been pretty interesting. I've been very into it. It's about halfway done now, but Sugar starts this week. Silo comes back 2 weeks after that, and a bunch of other science fiction projects coming over the course of the summer. So we'll be kicking that off next week. And somewhere along the way, probably on the Patreon, I'll definitely put that long conversation we had having seen the Steven Spielberg film Disclosure Day. But you've had a chance to see it. I'm very curious to get your opinion of it. Primarily, honestly, while I was watching this in the theater, I was very curious because you said one of the main reasons you wanted to see it is your daughter is very much into Emily Blunt. So did you see this with your daughter? How did she like Emily Blunt in this movie?
Yes, we went to see it on Saturday night with all the masses, big budget Hollywood blockbuster, directed by Spielberg. Very excited. I took my son and my youngest daughter, and we really had a good time with it. And my youngest daughter, at the end of the movie, as soon as it finished, she just said, "That was a really good movie." So I'm very happy that it was money well spent. She loved Emily Blunt, and why not? Because she was an absolute standout of this film. I thought
Agreed.
She was absolutely
That's
stunning.
The main reason I really like this movie. I thought she gave a great performance. I agree.
Really good. Now, I enjoyed the film, but there was moment. I'm very interested to hear you and Alan's conversation, and especially both of you guys' viewpoints, because there were moments in this film that really threatened to pull me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I stayed with it. I just hung on for dear life, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the third act. I'm a sucker for when things go live on television. I've seen a lot of criticism that this is not the way that television works anymore, which I'm not too sure about that, but I loved seeing the Disclosure Day live. I don't think we're giving away any spoilers here.
I mean, I was about to say minor spoilers, if you can count it that. However, someone else pointed this out as well. You cannot make a movie called Disclosure Day and be like, whoops, no Disclosure Day. It's like, I think we all know that's where the movie's going from the very beginning.
The day happens. Yeah,
that's
right. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I love the action. I love the camera movement. Janusz Kaminski was amazing behind the camera. Again, just seeing these old folks work together. John Williams, he's 94 years old,
I know.
Right? And he does a
great score.
score.
In my conversation with Alan, I did not call out that specifically, but what a great score for sure.
Really felt that at certain moments of the film. Love the action sequences. Just love the kind of like naive honesty of the whole viewpoint of the film. Some of the crane movements of the camera were incredible. Josh O'Connor does a decent job. I always love Wyatt Russell, even though he doesn't have a great
Right.
large role. He's just so, he's the type of guy that I want to be in a movie. I think just kind of hanging around and having fun, being a bit of a rock star. But yeah, like I say, it threatened to pull me out in certain points. Just the fact that these two characters, Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor, their characters just seem to be able to do anything at any moment of the film. Whatever the film demanded, they could have a special power to push the film forward. But I just went with it rather than criticizing it. But I could sense that perhaps you would criticize a bit of that kind of elaborate plotting that is very convenient. But yeah, love seeing Spielberg in the cinema, and we all had a good time.
Part of the reason that I haven't published the conversation immediately was that Alan was extremely negative on the film. And I started to lean into, yes-anding a lot of his negativity. But I actually enjoyed the film, although he's correct in all of his criticisms. But like you said, I went along with it. And there definitely are moments where the film lost him, whereas it was working for me. And he did particularly called out this, it's very strange to hear people talk about how great this film looks. And because I don't agree, and this is something that you can hear a lot more of us talk about in the conversation with Alan, I thought the action was thrilling, even though the special effects are that smeary kind of disappointing, flat CGI look that a lot of CGI has now. It's not worse than that, but it's not better. And I do expect better from Spielberg. You think about War of the Worlds, you think about Jurassic Park, you think about Minority Report. These are movies that are so old and the CGI looks great. AI, another example of just impeccable AI that still stands up now. And then you have this kind of like smeary, the train track, special effects sequence that I thought that the special effects weren't great. However, Spielberg knows how to make an action sequence. I thought those action sequences were thrilling, even if the visuals were a little disappointing for me. And, but yeah, I thought the action worked for me. I liked the, Alan didn't like this at all, but I liked the kind of 80s vibes. Like I won't spoil this, but towards the end, there's something happens magically, basically, that allows a lot of physical comedy where these people are interacting with objects they can't see. And I'm like, this is right out of Ghostbusters or something, and but in a positive way. It was very fun for me to watch it. I'm surprised your daughter vibed with this so much, because I have heard a lot of people scoffing at the final beat in the film, which again, we won't spoil here, but that the final moment of the film. So did that work for you?
It did work for me. Yeah, I can see that criticism as well. People want to see what happened after, but it's not. I don't think the film is about that. It's about, it's about what it is. You can't spoil it, obviously. But I enjoyed the end. I thought it was a great ending, and yeah, I was quite satisfied with it. But I don't want to criticize it too much, because once you start opening up,
yes,
you're going to dive in, and there's going to be a lot of criticism. Yes. I do agree about the special effects. Special effects just gotten worse, because you can see the seams. Are we just used to that now? Is that what we're all about going forward? Is this is a special effects sequence. You can see where it's patched into the real footage. Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. I've got to agree.
Yeah, it's strange that we have literally gone backwards with quality special effects, considering how much more powerful these machines are. But I guess, people made this point before, but it is the cost of this because everything has special effects now. It used to be that, these big blockbusters would have special effects. But now movies that you don't even know have special effects have 100 special effects shots just to fix the sky, remove something, power lines, whatever. So it's just that all these special effects houses are so unbelievably busy, and all these movies have to come out on a certain amount of time. And people, for example, are shocked when they hear that the most recent Avatar film was under $300 million, when you see some of these Avengers films are way over $300 million and the CGI looks terrible. And what people don't think about is Cameron's making this over the course of 5 years, 4 years, 9 years, 10 years for some of these movies. But even the most recent one is a 2 or 3 year period of special effects. So if you have the time, you can get the CGI really well done. If you're making an Avengers film, like when the Marvel films are coming out one after the other, and you're shooting it and it has to be out in 4 months, those special effects are not going to be finished. They're just going to look like, they're going to be what's going to be finished at that point, but maybe half finished, right? Like Cameron would never be like, yeah, I'm going to do 4 months on Avatar and put it out. He's going to be like, we're going to do 3 years of visuals on Avatar before we put it out, right? And not everybody has that time frame. So, and there's just not enough, and all the special effect casters are all busy. So it's, and I think that's a big problem. So it's shocking to me how much worse the special effects in general have gotten over time. But
I mean, it's a minor problem in this film, I think.
I do want to agree with that. Yes, I think that most of it works. It's it's just like when some things are held on screen for an extended period of time, you really start to notice that they're not quite, like if you were cutting away more, you probably wouldn't notice it as much. So.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But I was pretty positive on it. Alan was not. And I think this is another thing too, that this is an extremely earnest film. And that I don't know if that works nowadays. That, it's very funny. There's a lot of conversations in this film about how do you square the circle if you believe in aliens and you believe in God. Like, how do you reconcile those things? And for me, as an atheist, I don't think about those things at all. So, and I also don't believe in aliens, right? But I can still appreciate the film and what he's trying to do, and I admire the earnestness of it. But Spielberg, he's puts his heart on his sleeve here. He actually is someone who believes. He's been going around telling everybody he believes in aliens, and he's also someone of faith, right? So he is trying to square that circle. So everything in there is very earnest, and that also, I think, might turn off some audiences because we're so used to being so jaded and nothing is, everything's winking and nothing's ever, everything's ironic and sarcastic. So maybe that doesn't fly nowadays either, but it did make a lot of money its opening weekend. So we'll see if it continues to play well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it really does rely, especially the last beat, it really does rely on you buying into it and being earnest and having that throwback to like that optimistic 80s just energy. Then the movie, it doesn't stop. It's really the constant chase movie, which I really enjoyed. Right. It reminded me most of Minority Report, which is one of my favorite kind of action-y Spielberg movies. So yeah, I think there's a lot in it, and it was really fun to see at the cinema, but I don't know if I'll be running back to watch it that soon. I got everything I needed from that one experience. Yeah,
I'll probably watch it again once it's available on and I do have a read on it as well. So something that I didn't get into with Alan's in my conversation with Alan, because we did start nitpicking too early. We didn't get to break down the film exactly, some of the points there. But yeah, there is some meat on the bone there as well. So maybe something that we can discuss in the future once it comes to streaming inevitably.
Yeah, but yeah, great performances across the board. I really like Colin Firth as like the bad guy.
Yeah, I thought he was good too. And Alan hated his performance. But same thing. It really it did work for me. It did work for me. But I do think I don't want to just throw Alan in the bus for those opinions. The film is making some choices. I mean, it opens to talk about hey, the red and the blue, these two political factions in this country are at each other's throats. We literally have people dressed in red and in blue, like in a wrestling match in the opening shot of the film, right? There's no subtlety to it. And, it's all right out there for, to be read. And Colin Firth's performance is exactly that way too. And then he has this transformation over the course of the film that worked for me. But these are big choices. I think if it doesn't work for you, the movie's not going to work for you, right? So that's basically where he ended up on.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, great opening. The first shot was you getting kicked in the face by this wrestler. Incredible.
Yeah, for opening shot is getting kicked in the camera getting kicked in the face.
Yeah, very cool. And also, you can't make a movie without Coleman Domingo in it these days.
Oh, yes, yeah. And he's great. He's great in this.
He's always great.
He's always great, but this one was I liked him in. What I was going to say. I liked him here, but liked him more than in Euphoria, but actually he did great at the end of Euphoria, so he's just great, period.
Yeah, I'm watching the fourth season 2 at the moment, and he's great in that
too.
As well.
He's in something else right now also that he's in the Michael Jackson movie. He's just everything. So
Amazing. There is one bit in this film that I wanted to talk about. I don't know whether it's a spoiler, but it's when the crop circles appear.
Oh, yes.
And I have no idea why that happens, and I got no theory about it, so I'm gonna have to look that up.
I totally forgot about that, but that is a very important moment. It's like when, so the Josh O'Connor character makes this revelation about how he's able to communicate, and the crop circles form around him. So I'm like, not sure how that works.
Yeah, well, if you don't know, then no one knows. It was a really cool shot for the trailer, though.
It was very cool. Yes, true. I'd not seen the trailer, so this was all surprising. A lot of the visuals, but there was some very cool stuff, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, Spielberg can still make a great action sequence. And again, I'm on the side of it where I'm like, even though so much of the stuff on here that is so corny, I think, honestly. But you know what? We need a little corniness in the world. Everyone can't just be a cynic all the time. So
it just was great. I just really enjoyed. Yeah, corny is a good word for it, actually. But he's an old man now. You know, you get cornier as you get older. But I enjoyed just being in the cinema and going, you're watching a Spielberg movie. No one else does it like this.
Oh yeah, this is a very Spielberg film. Like, this has elements of, like you said, he has made chase movies before. Minority Report's a great example of one, but like also War of the Worlds, right? Where you're just like kind of moving from one location to the next.
Catch Me If You Can as well.
Catch Me If You Can. So he's done that before. He's very good at orchestrating those type of action sequences. And it's so funny. Like you think about, like, he made movies like The Post that are about like the importance of journalism, and you have that's in here, and you have the chases, this one chase after another. You have his alien fixation. He's got his religious fixation, which has been in movies like Munich and Schindler's List and some others as well. So all these themes all crammed into this movie, which is also just kind of a popcorn 80s throwback, fun film. Although like the apocalypse is happening in the background of this film as well. So.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's something I wanted to see a little bit more about. I flashed back to that movie Surratt, and I thought that could happen in the same universe.
Exactly. I thought of Surratt as well. Yes. Okay, so a lot to talk about there actually, and I hope it seems to be doing well enough, and I hope people get to see it and enjoy it, because it is a film. Like I said, I can understand if people don't enjoy it. So. But I do hope people do enjoy it. And go in with an open heart.
An open heart, yes, not just an open mind, yeah. And you'll have a good time for sure, because it is pure cinema.
Okay.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Speaking of pure cinema and just the great experiential experience of watching this season finale of Widow's Bay, what a surprise. I mean, I literally, Darren, did not know, what are we going to talk about? What am I going to talk about in the show? And then I'm like, well, there's this comedy horror show coming on Apple. What the hell is this? And Hiro Murai is one of the producers. Okay, interesting. Let's give it a sampling. And I think part of the reason this show has taken off so much is so unexpected, honestly. But here we have arrived at the finale of the season. Hiro Murai, importantly, directing this episode. Again, we have gone into this lower gear of tone where at this point there is definitely comedy in the show, but the tone is not leaning into the comedy at all. So very curious to get your take on what you thought of all of this. Oh, and by the way, this episode written by Katie Dippold, the creator of the show, who not only, by the way, has Apple renewed this for a second season, but Katie is now under overall first look deal with Apple. So Apple's very happy with this. Obviously, they are like putting their money on her as a creator of other shows as well, which I look forward to. So what did you think of this finale of the show?
So she's got a big new contract, has she? That's really good news. What a score. What did I think of the finale? I love the finale. I think there's some really touching moments in this, and it does work as a season finale for me, with a little asterisk there that there's more mysteries to uncover and some people that may rub the wrong way. And with me, it did a little bit. There's still more. We haven't even scratched the surface, and it almost looks like we're looking for the Descendant, and it doesn't even matter, which I'm a little bit interested in. And it's the type of show that goes down a wrong path, and you just go with it. And they're like, oh, we were completely wrong about this. Whether that is true or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think my favorite bit of this episode was the scene with Tom and Ruth. And Ruth coming through with the character performance. My gosh, it was just incredible. And that was really, really touching. And I was quite shocked at some events that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Matthew Rhys said to Hiro Murai when he was making this that it was the sequence in the house between Tom and Ruth was shot for multiple days. And he said that he was so wrung out emotionally. And he told Hiro Murai, he's like, I thought we were making a comedy. He's like, this is the most emotionally exhausted I've been in doing a performance in like years.
Well, he obviously hasn't watched other of Hiro Murai stuff like Atlanta or The Bear. There is plenty of drama in those things, and you could actually see it on Tom's face. You could see him wrung out. You could see some of the things that Ruth was saying to him. He couldn't believe.
All right, so the episode, just to break it down in more detail, of course, there's so many things, so many stops along the way, so much mythology we discover here over the course of this episode. So we pick up immediately after last week, even in the previously on, he's like walking out the door, and it's like we're picking up directly from there, but he does stop at the doctor's office first. He's hoping, he's like, come on, cancer, hoping that there's something in her medical record. I love that. What was her thyroid enzymes or something? They're like, wow, she's exceptionally healthy for an 84-year-old. So he's like, damn it, no chronic diseases. But she's on oxycodone and diazepam. So she's, what is that? So she's on an antidepressant and a pain reliever. I mean, maybe she's walking on the treadmill too much. That might be part of her. Or maybe she takes the oxy and then she could just go for hours on the treadmill.
She's doing so much exercise. She's just recovering from injuries.
Yeah, she was talking about she can't complain when she said in an earlier episode that walking back at night was the hard part. She's doing 2 miles on the cardio when she gets home. Come on, she can do that easy. She's helping her neighbor up the stairs, down the stairs. Yeah, exactly. This woman can do anything. Oh, another great moment, of course, is that he arrives at her house. And of course, like I said, that tone shift, it's like he's sitting there where you assume he's been sitting there for a while, weighing this out. And then, I love the, good angel, bad angel on the shoulder, where Patricia's just reaching out to him, being like, Tom, you don't need to do this. And then you hear Wick go, yes, you do. I love it.
Just genius.
And then he goes into the house, and again the show is playing with our expectations. We hear this breathing, and my head's just running through these. Is something supernatural going on in the house at this moment? Maybe she's like in on this or something. Has she like fallen down the stairs and she's like panting in the other room about to die, and he's like, oh my god, this all played out. No, she's just on the treadmill like we mentioned before.
The very labored breathing. Yes, I had an image of her dying on the floor as well. I didn't think she'd be finishing her workout.
And some other great comedic beats here. But I mean, I got to tell you, it's just so amazing to see Rhys give this performance where he's like standing in the doorway and she's like, Tom, what are you doing here? Oh, you came to bring me back to the shelter. I thought you guys had forgotten about me. And then he has this look on his face when she says that of like he's been just thinking about her the whole day, but for these terrible reasons that he's just like, oh no, we would never forget about you. But it's like so terrible, right? That this poor woman is in this house waiting to be rescued by somebody, assuming that she's just been forgotten again. And he's like, no, we didn't forget about you. I'm here to kill you.
It's agonizing. The whole situation, the way they wring humor out of such a horrible situation is quite brilliant.
And of course, all the comedy that comes out of this is great. Like him seeing how active she is. And, but I think this is what's so great about the show. It's this idea that, this woman is disposable. She's old. She's had a life. And then you see how her calendar is so full. She's going to these book meetings or these story meetings, and she's helping her neighbor out. So it's like this idea that, when you get to a certain age, culture, society in general, like throws you away. And she's actually really an active person, right? So there's the comedy of it. Like he's thinking like, well, this will be easy. And it's like, oh, it's like everything he's expecting to play out the way he wants to doesn't play out the way he wants. And then it's the question of like, is she really a disposable person? She might be essential to so many parts of this island and how it runs. I mean, we know she babysits the son all the time, and that's the complicated thing eventually when we get around to that.
The shot of the calendar was so brilliant that he almost didn't even need to mention it.
Right.
You could just see, I mean, I've got a calendar like that on my wall, and it's not as full as Ruth's. She's doing a lot of things. Did you see someone has screenshotted that on the internet, and that she does goat yoga, something called goat yoga once a week?
I've heard of goat yoga, and I don't remember what it is, but someone else was talking about goat yoga somewhere.
I don't know what it is, but
amongst the goats, I don't know if do they have goats on the island?
They must have. There must be some goats. Goats are very associated with devils and demons, so I'm sure there's plenty of goats roaming around.
I also love that when he's like, he goes to the bathroom at one point, gets the pills out, and he's like, yeah, let's have some tea. And I'll put it in. Obviously, he'll dose the tea before when she serves it. And he goes, do you want chamomile or do you want this? I forget what the options were. But
Peppermint.
Hilarious that she picks the one that's going to steep for 20 minutes. And he's like, no, we'll do the other one. She's like, we can't waste herbs, Tom. We can't waste herbs. But this 20 some odd minutes of steeping does allow them to find out everything about pretty much everything. She admits to all these different things. First of all these horrible things that happened on the island that she's been associated with. What were some of them? Her father died. Was it at sea? How did her dad die?
Got attacked by something in the ocean. Which I immediately thought it's a sea hag.
It might have been. That's a good point. Her first boyfriend, her true love, was bit by an animal and then became that animal.
I think that's my favorite joke of the episode.
And then everybody came out there. Go ahead. What were you saying?
We went to the MJ musical last night, and during the whole big thriller dance sequence and song sequence, all I could think of was Ruth's family member being bit by an animal who became that animal.
I love I like with her that running gag where she's like, here's this person, made a pass. Is this person made a pass? The pastor made a pass. Although first she said he didn't. And she was like, no, wait a second. He did make a pass. He was like a father to me. A little creepy. Yeah. The nun made a pass.
Of course she did.
Howard the Coward was the first mayor she worked for. So there's going to be some story there. I wonder if Howard the Coward was not willing to do what the island needed him to do. And maybe that's why he's a coward. But he did run off at some point.
Mm-hmm. I just love the way that she sits down on the old couch and she goes through her photo album. They've got 27 minutes, so they've got plenty of time to do it.
Right.
But she reminds me of my late grandmother, who always had these albums around, and if you're bored, you drag it out and you look at these old photos and ask her a question or two. It's such a thing. I don't know if we've missed that these days, but it's such an amazing thing to look at someone's life through these photos.
When we were kids, we loved that too, by the way, like sit next to grandma and her to break out the book and like go through those. And I guess we just missed that because, I mean, we do have Facebook posts, but who really looks through their ancient Facebook posts anymore? But I guess we just don't have that experience anymore of the old photo albums.
It's not
But
the
Ruth-
same, is it? And those photos age and the colors
Yes.
goes a
Mhm.
bit
Yep.
funny over time, and it just adds so much character to someone's life when you're just flipping through it.
Yeah, and you see when all this, you can also track history through like here's these photos, these black and white photos that were taken by a photographer at some point. This is how old my grandparents were. They had like these ancient photos that were taken by somebody, the town photographer, and the kind of film stock. And then where everybody probably had like a 35 millimeter that they would drop off at the local, shop and pick them up. And then there's the whole phase when it's all Polaroids all of a sudden, right? And you have like the Polaroids with the bar at the bottom with the chemical in it. And like the way that over time those Polaroids start to change color. So it's like all that analog technology that the kids love now, but we just don't have that anymore. Those filters on Instagram just don't do it the same thing.
Yeah, just as a side, there's some guys in Australia that they've got a startup that make these flashback cameras. So I think they're digital cameras, but they've only got 30 shots on them. So you take the 30 shots and then you have to wait 24 hours and then they will automatically send it to your device. So you take these shots and then you can't see the photos for another day. So it kind of replicates this feeling of having that roll of film that you have to go and get developed. So you can't actually just see it straight away, edit it, delete it. You've just got to wait to see what you've captured, which is a little bit of magic.
How thrilling was it back in the day when you would go on vacation, you'd develop your film, and then you would forget a couple of rolls, or one was still in the camera, you needed to finish it off, and then you'd send it off. And then sometimes, you may not have had a party or used up the rest of the film for a while. So then all of a sudden you send the photos off and then you left it at the CVS, at the pharmacy, and like they keep telling you the film is there, and then you pick it up a few weeks later. So at this point, it's like months later, and then suddenly you get to see these photos from the trip you went on 2 months ago, 3 months ago. How thrilling was that back in the day? And you don't even remember taking the pictures. You're like, who's that? I don't remember taking this picture.
You've inspired me. I think I've got a couple of rolls somewhere that I took years ago that haven't been developed. So I'm going to have to chase them down.
But you got to dig them up for sure. Okay, we'll get back to Ruth and to Tom, of course, very importantly. But in the meantime, we have what's going on at shelter number 3. Okay, shelter number 3, a couple of things here that I was curious about. You asked me last week, how many people do we think live on the island? So question, shelter number 3, do we think there are people, or do you think there were people in another shelter 1 and shelter 2 as well? Or is everybody in shelter number 3?
There's got to be. Why is it called number 3? There's got to be people in number 1 and 2 on different parts of the island.
Number 3 has a special purpose, we find out, but nonetheless.
Yes, it does. Talking about old films, our old mate, and what's his name?
Dale.
He finds some old films that are very educational.
Very educational, yes. But shelter number 3, how many rations do they have? 100. How many people do they have? 137. So I'm thinking about like how many people live on this island, even if you have all 3 shelters full of people and the math is approximately the same, and you figure there's people, there's people who drive the ferries. There's people who are working, doing construction. Maybe someone's installing some electrical lines because, they're probably constantly having power outages out on that island. So there's probably people and of course there's tourists. So minus those, like the same math we had before, like how many people live on this island? 300 people in 300 years? That's a terrible survival rate on that island.
Well, look, you need enough food for about 3 days, and then you turn to cannibalism.
Exactly. That old timer who's there saying like, well, a nor'easter can last 5 days, but on this island, it can last up to 10 days. I'm like, well, a bunch of moldy rations are not going to cut it. These people are not going to make it 4 days before they start eating each other, by the way. I love this detail, by the way, where it's like they have the moldy rations and they're like, mine's moldy too. And then the one guy is like, mine looks fine. And everybody grabs the food from him. Oh boy. And of course, exactly as we predicted last week, we didn't predict everything correctly last week, but one thing we definitely predicted was those kids are going to start snooping around and find themselves down at the Hellmouth. And indeed, that's exactly what happened. This kid, I was so excited that this PJ or JP or whatever his name is, that this guy was going to get eaten by the monster. I'm like, this guy needs to die. But no, he does not get killed. He's a terrible influence on Evan. Terrible influence.
Evan's actually a good kid, but he just has a bad rep because he's got bad mates.
This kid is the worst.
And a dodgy girlfriend too.
Yes. Yeah, she's trouble for sure. She can go back though. But that's, we'll talk about this when we get to the end, like what can happen in season 2. But he can't go make any visits to her in Boston. That's for sure. So yeah, somewhere between 100 and 300 people live on this island, which is pretty terrible when you consider, like what's the dating pool at this place? No wonder no one reproduces. And of course we have Basheer and Shell, and she's like, this poor woman does not know what's happening. She's like, you know what? I think this is going to be a funny story. We tell our kids, no, it's not. This is going to be a terrible story, no matter what. I love some of the details here, by the way. Basheer is looking at how to subdue somebody, one of the posters on the wall. And then the other one was how to treat different bites, including a human bite. How do you treat a human bite? And another great detail is that she's like, oh, I was afraid of having the baby right now in the middle of all this. And the doctor tells her, oh, don't worry. It was nothing. You're fine. And then says, can I see you outside, Basheer? This is like out of Mad Men or something, where they tell Don that his wife has cancer because they don't think she's too hysterical to hear it. So he takes Basheer aside and is like, she's having that baby right now. It's like, yeah, you could tell her this information as well. But this is where Basheer is like, he's like, where's Tom? What's going on? I know something's going on. And he decides to head out. And of course, in the moment, you can think, oh, I didn't believe that for a second, by the way. One interpretation is he's the lawman and he's going to like keep Tom from doing this terrible thing. But I knew right away, I'm like, no, he's going to do what he does not think Tom is willing to do.
Yeah, so he gets up to speed with Patricia, I think, and Wick doesn't want to tell him anything, but Patricia spills it. And he continues his kind of craziness from last week where he's trying to get on the boat, which was just a no-go from the start. And I didn't expect it to turn out like it did.
Do you buy this, by the way, that he's like obviously did not believing in this mythology at all up until this point and unaware of most of it? And that now all of a sudden obviously he has PTSD, I would presume, from what happened and being confronted overtly by this supernatural being that, tried to murder him. So he suddenly is like, all this is true and I can't have my child on the island. Do you buy that transformation?
Yeah, a little bit of a stretch, I think. And we're supposed to believe that it was the boogeyman. Oh, it was Patricia's party as well, freaked him out, and the boogeyman has totally freaked him out, and he's gone full Tom. Yeah, a little bit of a stretch, I think.
Yeah, I think they need him to make this decision here because we'll get to it, of course, but it's very important that in that moment we have like Tom before revelation, Tom after revelation, and then Basheer walking in and basically there to do exactly what Tom was planning to do, but now they're on opposite sides of the decision, which is really interesting. So they needed someone to have the same stakes, right? They're both trying to do this for their child. And, so they become, like Hiro Murai actually said, they're like two sides of a coin. So I think that is necessary. But his pivot from being like, I don't buy it, and then kind of like, you know what, this place is a little weird. I'm giving my 2 weeks notice, everybody, goodbye. And then of course this one crazy thing happens and he's immediately like 100% bought in, like people die on this island. I need to, cannot have the child on the island. Of course, to be totally honest, me, if I'm freaked out like this and Patricia takes me aside and is like, you have to get off this island. Your child cannot be born here. I might listen to her at that moment. So, but it does seem to be like quite a pivot for his character. All right, let's talk about Dale. So Patricia's like, these people are getting kind of crazy. Let's go find some fun things. Go find some cards or some board games. Not the cards that say, wait, run. Hopefully not those cards. But but he finds something much worse. He finds this room, which apparently no one has found. There should be a lot of questions about this room, by the way. And I love all the details of this and his revelation, of course. We suspected this as well, that you see the way the door used to look, and now it's like this metal door between the flashback and now. So someone's been doing some upkeep, and they're fully aware of what's going on, and someone's feeding this creature, the island monster, to, satiate it in some way. So something's going on, but apparently it is very well coordinated. And this is the moment where, all the references in the show throughout the course of the year, this really does start to feel like the Shirley Jackson, the lottery, or a Storm of the Century in a different way. Not exactly the same Storm of the Century, which I don't want to spoil, but does correlate heavily to this series, but for a different reason that I won't go into here. But, Midsommar and Wicker Man and all these kind of folk horror that, where the community is the killer, right? Spoilers for all those things I just said. And by the way,
I'm glad
the movie that they referenced early, that Horror Hotel, I forget what it's called. The British title is different, but the American title is Horror Hotel, which they're watching. Evan's watching with the girl earlier on, and that is exactly the story, right? It's like it takes place in New England. They, a journalist or someone shows up. They're investigating something, and it turns out the island is like a coven of witches that are killing tourists off, right? So it's like it is, there's a lot of shared DNA between that movie and this show.
That's Horror Hotel. Yeah, I was wondering if anyone picked up that title. I didn't. I'm glad Dale watched the films first before he played them to the
Yes.
audience. I did have images of him just putting the films on for everybody to enjoy.
When everybody starts freaking out, by the way, we're cutting back and forth here, but it is kind of happening in parallel. They're messing around with the audio system, thinking that maybe it's some way of communicating. And it starts recording. What does it start saying? Like, the time is now, or something like that?
Yeah, I missed it. I thought that was going to start the electric chair underneath in the basement. So yeah, I couldn't quite get that.
I think it's mostly just, that's probably when if everybody knows what's going on and has watched their recordings properly, the films, 16 millimeter or whatever they were, that then they would know that that's basically where, like, we're beginning now, everybody. We're going to feed the monster. But I keep skipping past what Dale sees in those videos, videos. I mean, they're 8mm films, which were shot in actual 8mm cameras, which I love. The detail of making this look legitimate. And from the 1950s or 60s, that's my guess. It looks kind of like a 1950s movie from the way the guy is talking. And also, when we see the poor victims with the bags over their heads, their underwear kind of seems like the styles from the 50s or so. But I love that, by the way. It's like, this is for them. For them, it's like, you've been picked to be our human sacrifice. And because of your sacrifice, you are keeping us safe. This is, you've been selected. You're the lucky one. And then for us, of course, it's like, don't worry too much. I love the detail that, like, don't worry too much about calming them down, because the monster likes the fear. It adds some flavor. It likes the way it tastes. It likes the way it tastes. I love that. So yeah,
what does
let them be scared.
Like?
I don't know.
Yeah, just the juxtaposition of the horror, seeing them in their underwear with their bags on their heads, and seeing this smiling host. Yeah, it's the comedy of it and the horror mixed together. Just is very unnerving and also hilarious.
And that's what makes it horrific as well, right? It is the fact that whether this person is actually totally nonchalant about doing this, or whether you're presenting it that way to be like, yeah, it's just okay, everybody. This is just what we do.
And they're almost doing their citizen rights to be a citizen of Widow's Bay. This is something that you may have to, it's like the draft. You may have to encounter this. So yeah, I'd really like to find out more about how they select these people, whether they're self-selected or I'm not sure whether they're escapees from the mental institution. I don't know.
Right. And well, that's going to be a question we have to talk about at the end, because, like, how is Tom going to be able to manage this in the future? Okay, a couple of questions I have for you. So this is in the 1950s. Is your guess that this has continued, and they haven't made new films, but this process has continued for years and somebody's been maintaining this? So the first question is, who do you think, this is pure speculation, of course, that we've seen on the show, who is in the loop and is aware of how this process works? And do you think this is something that has been dormant for 40, 50 years or something? Or do you think it's been going on, and basically Tom's just out of the loop because maybe Howard the Coward didn't fill him in before he left the island.
Right. Who was Howard the Coward? Was he the mayor before Tom? Do we know that?
I don't know if he's immediate. I mean, that photo was pretty old, so she seems like she is, pretty young in the photograph. So let's say if she's like, okay, so she's 84. Let's say she's like 30 in the photograph, so that's 50 something years ago. So yeah, Howard the Coward. They could be like right around the time that this video was made, or this, I keep calling it a video, this film was made.
Well, look, the first person that comes to mind is the old priest who is not with us anymore, but I feel like he knew exactly what was going on. He was the one that looked up at the bell, which was chained. The bell couldn't ring, but the bell does ring. So I'm not quite sure why it's been dormant for so long, if it actually has. And I'm very interested about who knows about it on the island and why this information has not been passed on, because it seems like you'd want to continue the human sacrifices to keep everybody happy on the island. And someone has let this information go. And yeah, that's a mystery for season 2, perhaps.
I think that the priest didn't know about it until the bell rang. Like, he probably knew that he had actions he was supposed to take if the bell rang. But when people said to him, "Did you hear the bell ringing?" And he went, and that's what there's that very creepy episode 2, I guess it was all the way back then, that we see that it's been boxed up, but it still rings. And then it seems that he's reading either a letter or basically says, like, if the bell rings, then read this letter. And that's when he goes down this rabbit hole. And I guess that in the writing, it's like, if you're reading this, it's because the bell has rung, and I'm sorry that these are the actions you're going to need to take. And it seems to be like a list in the letter that he has to enact. And I guess he killed himself before he was willing to go through with it. But I'm pretty sure that but you make a good point that perhaps it was the previous priest to him that was the keeper of this knowledge, because how did he get his hands on it, right? Like, it wasn't the mayor that seemed to have that information. But it also seems that maybe the bell has not rung in quite some time.
Yes, so I don't believe he killed himself, for starters. I think someone's murdered him and made it look like a suicide. But yes, the bell hasn't rung for a decent period of time. So this generation of Widows Bay people don't know about this need to sacrifice.
They don't know that there's a murder cult on the island. They just were out of the loop. They didn't need to know. It was need to know information.
It's a great secret.
Some other details real quick before we get into like the punchline of this, which is so funny. But the clear the guns, clear all the weapons, all the rifles are gone. Where do they all go? Don't know. The red button on the wall, like, what is that for? Is that what? I don't know. All questions we don't understand how that room actually operates. But I love all the details of being in there. Like, it's so well designed. Like, they've thought about. I'm sure that they answered those questions, which is, I think, is what I love about the show. That they know exactly how everything in that room operates, but we don't know, which is the fun of the whole show itself. But then, of course, Dale is absorbing all this. And I love that, like, at this point, the power goes out, that everybody starts freaking out. And then Wick calms everybody down. Like, we're going to make it. It's going to be okay. And then Dale walks out, is like, run, everybody. It's a death trap. So, it is indeed a death trap, but no one's actually corralling them to their death. So, but yes, so then all hell breaks loose. By the way, back at the house, we have Tom is trying to talk to Patricia, hears on the microphone or on the walkie-talkie just all this screaming. He, of course, is terrified for his son, and this like motivates him even more so to have to kill Ruth. He poisons her, and he thinks she's dead. And this is such an incredible performance by Matthew Rhys in the middle of this comedic show that he like apologizes to her and says, it's my fault that I brought these people here. I wanted my son to have more. And then his voice breaks and he's like, and me too. He admits it. It's like, and me too. I wanted more. And it's like he feels responsible for all of this. And now he has to kill this innocent woman because he feels this guilt about dragging these innocent people to their deaths here on the island. And it's a great moment, and it's a great performance.
It really is. Yeah, his performance and Ruth's together is just quite heartbreaking. Yeah, it was. I was rapt watching that scene. Although the amount of pills that he crushes up and chucks in that tea, it's going to ruin the taste of her herbs, which I think she would have.
She would have picked up on that. Yes, she probably has a nice. She knows what those herbs taste like. Exactly. You're absolutely correct. She'll be like, this is not steep long enough, apparently. Okay, and then there's the whole trolley problem thing, which again, subverting everything. And I guess this actually happens earlier on, but I love this as well. This whole idea of saying that, of course, she's going to see the reason in this, that the trolley car problem says that you do the thing that causes the least damage. And I find her logic compelling, that she says, no, the train is already the world as it is. Like that Tennessee Williams quote that she mentions, that the world is constantly on fire and the only thing we try to rescue from that fire is love. And I think it's a nice sentiment, to be totally honest with you, but I'm more of the, I'm a pragmatist here. I'm just like, killing one person and saving hundreds. That's the decision I make every time. I don't know if you're as cold-hearted as I am, but that's what my decision. And it is Tom's as well.
I probably am, because when she doubled down on it, I was as shocked as Tom, and I really wanted to hear her explanation. And she explained it just lovely, didn't she?
It is actually, and I've thought about this. That's the thing you think about when you actually do that mental exercise. But I agree with it. Like, some people say, no, you're not a murderer because you saved all those other people. And my rationale is that as soon as I pull the lever, just like she says, I made a decision. The train rolling is not my responsibility. When I pull that lever, I am killing that other person. And I do admit that I killed the other person, but I'm also like, and maybe I go to jail for that, but I saved more people than that in this way. And I make that decision. That's my opinion. So I agree with her logic, and it's very sweet, but I pull the lever. That's my decision.
It reminded me of that film about the box with the button. And
yes.
If you push the button, someone you don't know in the world will die, but you'll get $1 million or something. And it's that moral dilemma. Do you press
Well, if I
button?
kill some stranger in the box, to speak about that movie, if I kill a stranger to, I think that's based on the Stephen King adaptation as well, by the way. So if I kill that person and then I make myself richer, then that is, for me, I think, an evil act. If I'm actually doing it to rescue people, kill one person to rescue 8, I make that decision. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it, I gotta say. Tom has second thoughts, though. But of course, he poisons her. I like the way that this actually plays out. I kind of said it out of sequence, but I love the fact that he does second guess himself and he starts saying, wait a second, what am I doing? Just based on Rosemary's family tree? Like, what am I doing here? And then, like, he hears the panic on the radio and he's like, hold on a second, I got to do something. So it's like, I like how he has to pivot back and forth between these different decisions. But she's not dead, of course. She comes back from the dead. And he's kind of disappointed because he thought it was so close. But this is when she confesses what we had been speculating on for multiple weeks now, that there is somebody else. And even when they announced that she was the supposed last Warren, I'm like, she's an older woman. She had an illegitimate child somewhere. And that is exactly what ended up happening. I thought it was Patricia, to be honest. Not that I think dramatically it makes better sense. Obviously, Evan is the highest stakes person. I just didn't think the show would go that dark, to be honest. But they did, indeed. And so that's the revelation, right? That she was still working at the town hall so that she could be closer to Tom and his wife, who was her daughter, and of course, the grandson as well. And all these pretty amazing details, like that how they pay off all these things. At one point, that Evan is saying that his mom was obviously crazy. At one point, she's talking about how she met her secret mother. And of course, that's who it was, right? She has her mother who raised her, and then she has her secret mother, the one who actually had her years ago during this affair. And so even those little details have paid off here in her story.
Yeah, really nice. Even though We expected it from the weight of the Reddit conversation. We expected this to happen. It was still spellbinding to actually let the cat out of the bag when she's actually talking about her affair and her illegitimate child. Does that mean if she was the secret mother, she told her daughter that?
I assume she must have said it at some point. Yes, she did, because she says, I told her I was her secret mother. She actually says secret mother during their conversation. So it must have been from her that she heard that.
Yeah, I wonder if the daughter, how that played on her mind, because that's pretty soul shaking if you find out that your real mother is not your mother and there's someone else who's also very close to your life. I guess this kind of thing happens in these small communities,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Especially in years gone by.
Well, you know the whole Jack Nicholson story. Do you know the Jack Nicholson story?
Oh, vaguely, but you might have to remind me.
From New Jersey, also another New Jerseyite. But his sister growing up was actually his mother. So he grew up with this an older sister who was still young. And he found out years later that older sister was actually his mother, and his mother was actually his grandmother. But they raised him as if it was the mother's child he was, so that to not have the reputational damage from admitting that it was her daughter, this young daughter that had a child out of wedlock early on. So
yeah, that's amazing.
That type of stuff used to happen all the time, right? You just went away for the summer and you came back with a baby, and then you just said oh, we had another late in life baby. We weren't expecting it. We're 40, but we had a baby. It's no, you didn't. Your teenage daughter had a baby. So that's how that worked.
Yeah, I wonder how that would affect you growing up. I wonder if you know all along, or if it comes as a complete surprise. That is quite fascinating.
Apparently, it really messed with Jack Nicholson, and he's not the type of person to has these kind of confessional interviews. So, but I have to assume that was something that really messed up with his psyche. Maybe that's why he's as good an actor as he is. That's some serious mental trauma to take on.
Yeah, I wonder what age he was when he found all that out.
He was pretty old when he found out, but to your point, it's there's got to be some undercurrent of it your whole entire life, right? Your older sister treating you like a mother, like your mother. So then at this point, of course, this is when the other shoe drops, and this is terrifying to Tom. That, of course, the very thing he wanted to do, to kill this old woman, now he realizes that target is now on his son's back. Basheer shows up in the middle of this. Basheer shoots this lady when she's literally in the arms of Tom. This is, dude, you could have easily killed them both, but instead he doesn't kill anybody. He misses, he barely, I guess he grazes her, right? Because she survives. And, but this is crazy. The fact that he shoots her while Tom is holding her is an insane choice by him.
Shocking. Just the image of Tom lifting that woman is an amazing, loving image.
Yes.
And the piece was broken straight away. Absolutely shocking. My jaw dropped.
It's so sweet too, right? That moment where all of a sudden he's suddenly holding his wife's mother, and they've both lost this woman in between them. And also she's just been alone for so much of her life. And it's just this moment where he kind of just leans into hugging her. It's really an emotionally powerful moment. And then the gunshot goes off, which honestly, I knew that was going to happen. But I was shocked that Basheer didn't say step away from her, and he shoots her. He shoots her while he's holding her, embracing her tightly. That bullet could have easily killed them both.
There's so much in that embrace, and he realizes that her bond with his son is so strong for a particular reason. And that's funny. Yeah, I didn't see that shot coming.
A random detail I forgot to bring up, but I want to go back to it because it was so funny. I'm cutting away from a very heavy scene for something very funny, which is I love the fact that Evan has a ladder installed in his bedroom when he's there with her because in case there's a fire. Yeah, that's why they ladder in the room.
That's not the only cool detail in his bedroom. The sweet car poster that she got from a garage sale.
How did you feel about her surviving this gunshot? I actually thought this actually bothered me a little bit at first because I'm this show really keeps pulling its punches. People are dying on this island, but it seems like nobody that we know even a little bit are really in danger. So that kind of bothers me. This kind of, when you have this, bulletproofing of characters that are central to the story, which is something that happens a lot on shows. So that bothered me a little bit. But then I suddenly thought that's actually, maybe I'm wrong. And this is an interesting detail because Tom is lying to Basheer that he does not know who the last Warren is. If she lives, then at some point, Basheer can get that information, even if Tom doesn't offer it up. And he still, this is the two sides of the coin conversation, Basheer still wants to have a place where his son can live without having to deal with the same problems that everybody else on this island has. And he wants to leave too and be able to live with his wife somewhere else. And there's only one way to do that at this point that he knows of, and that is to kill off Evan. I mean, I don't know if he'll be able to kill a child. I mean, that's quite, a severe thing to have to do. But hey, if he may make the decision that it's him or my child, that's it might be a decision he makes. But her being around still is a loose end that is a problem for Tom as well.
It was a problem for me too. It was quite surprising when they did show that the bullet just grazed her head rather than killing her, because from that gunshot, I thought her story was done, and I thought it was a really fantastic ending for her. And like you said, it's a finale. You want to feel something. You want some of the main characters to meet their end. So yes, she obviously has more to do in the story, but I was surprised that they let her live.
Meanwhile, those jerky kids, of course, have worked their way all the way down into the belly of the beast, literally. And Kenny, we just met Kenny. It seems like we just met him. He rescued him from under that painting. And it is Kenny, right, who ends up getting sacrificed to this thing?
That makes sense, yeah. I didn't pick him, but yeah.
And man, that kid, again, what a jerk, slamming the gate closed, which apparently is the mechanism. You close that gate, and then the other door opens. And now Evan, of course, knows like something happened, right? There's like a blood trail going into the open door. And then all of a sudden the storm passes. So everybody has a little piece of this puzzle, by the way, which I think is interesting too. Dale obviously knows that what he saw on those tapes. Evan sees someone get killed down in that death room, and the storm passes. So it's like if everybody kind of connects the dots, I think they understand how this thing works. And of course, there's what Tom is told about it as well. So I mean, it's all out in the open now. But it's interesting that we kind of the way that these different people have different parts of the story.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's good that the audience knows it all. But I'm still not sure if we've put it all together. So we really need those characters to have a sit down and put all this together.
Right.
I just love that. I almost forgot about the room with the electric chair in it that we saw bizarrely. I think it was the first episode.
Very first episode, yep.
Drops through the floor, and you see this strange room. You're like, okay, there's deeper secrets here in Widow's Bay. And we finally, at the last episode of the season, we get to see that room again. And yeah.
We saw it in the flashback episode too. That's the other thing that I realized that is important in the flashback is when Warren takes that guy who he beats him with a cane and then he drags him down there. And it's not until, we don't see what happens to him, but we see his wife goes down there the next day and then finds it's a wooden door, not the metal door we see now. Mm. And there's just a regular chair there, not like an electric looking chair, but it's the same room. There's even like some hair stuck to a rock on the side of the door. So there's, this has been there for a while, obviously for hundreds of years, but yeah, who's been maintaining all this? Who made the nice new doors? I don't know why we need new doors. I mean, the other doors seem to work. But.
Yeah, okay, I missed that. All right, that's interesting.
The next morning comes along. Oh, the storm breaks, of course, and this makes Basheer calm down and not want to kill everybody. He assumes that somehow almost killing her has broken the spell, but that's not true, of course, we know. And what actually fed it temporarily was feeding Kenny to him by these jerky teenagers. Although, you know what? I was really irritated that the kids callously left him in there and got him killed. But at the same time, like if someone hadn't died that night, the storm would have still been bearing down on them and much worse probably would have happened. So in a way, they give him a reprieve And the next morning, Tom goes and throws the brooch into the water. He had seen the brooch, which confirmed, of course, all his suspicions earlier on. Oh, by the way, important detail here. Did you notice all the old creepy paintings on Ruth's walls? Those paintings are going to pay off in the future. Whenever there's a creepy painting on the show, there's something important in it. So there's going to be some Redditor is going to be analyzing the paintings in her house.
I did notice that. Hiro Murai likes to put the camera in other rooms to look into a room.
Yes.
So the characters are always in doorways or obscured behind things. And yes, there was a particular shot of a doorway and there was 2 paintings quite clearly that you could see.
And we see the island. I mean, this is probably special effects, but very well done. You see that's the island decimated. Reminds me of when Hurricane Sandy came through here and all these boats got smashed up along the shore.
Yeah, really great shot. A great visual effects shot there.
Yeah, totally convincing. Looks like an actual real location. And importantly, though, you're like, oh, well, maybe the show is pulling another punch and they kill one guy and now everything's just okay on the island. This show is not really has no teeth at all. But no, when the Reverend heard the bell ring last time on episode 3, it rang 9 times. And today it rang 8 times. So 8 more people need to die. There's quite a tally. And that's where we leave things. So all these mysteries I have, so many questions I have. Anything else you wanted to cover before I get into kind of some of these dangling mysteries we need to dig into for next season?
No, I thought something was going to happen with the brooch when he chucked it in. The sea hag has got
it comes back out again. It's still back out. Yeah, the sea hag will come back with it stuck to her chest.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I already touched on some of these, but who's running that sacrifice machine, or was doing it until now? Possibly nobody. Maybe it's just they just had a really long reprieve. It's possible. Okay, second question. The Hellmouth door is closed when they go into that room. When Evan goes and looks, the door is still open. So what does it mean the door is still open? Did something get out? Is someone supposed to close the door and he hasn't closed it in between feedings? And do you think these nosy teenagers are going to try to go into whatever's that doorway, beyond the doorway?
I don't, because why would anyone go into that doorway? Why?
That moron, JP or whatever his name is going to want to go through that door. That's what he does.
I like your idea that when you lock the outer door, the inner door opens.
Yeah.
But that door is ajar, isn't it? So there's going to be some type of smell or something coming from inside there. No, you'd run away. You don't want to go looking in there.
Oh, another thing I was thinking about was, do all these other people that died, this guy got sucked into a tornado, that guy got killed by the slasher. People have died on this show. And I'm like, oh, dude, does that count? This island monster is really stingy on criteria here, because I'm like, well, at least some of those people have died too, right? They count. No, it's like, they don't. He got 8 bells to ring. So I'm like, he didn't even subtract the other people? Come on.
No, he likes the fear. He likes the taste of that fear. And if he's not getting the taste of that, I mean, the island and their people that are disappearing, that's just too bad, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, you, at least if those people got counted, right? Like, you could imagine, this is like the trolley problem, right? Speaking of the trolley problem, you can imagine Tom just being like, well, the next time a nor'easter comes through, it'll kill 7 or 8 people, and then I'm good. It's like, no, he's got to kill them himself. He's got to drive them down into the pit. They don't count if they get sucked into a tornado. That doesn't count.
Yeah, that's right. That's the trolley problem exactly, isn't it?
Yeah, so then all this like, oh yeah, just be loving. I'm like, yeah, just be loving until nobody's left on the island, including your kid, by the way. So, I mean, that's the other problem. But of course, he's now in a situation, which is incredible, where they put the show at this point, because of course now we know there's only one way to make this stop, and it's to kill his son, which he's not going to do. And he's not going to not do anything, because every single time some kind of chaos breaks loose, someone's going to say, or someone's going to know, because we know that this is information that's out there now, that they need to feed the island to make it stop, or they need to dispose of his son. So to protect his son, he has to cover this up again and feed the island 8 more people, which makes Tom the villain of season 2.
Okay, so we still think that the island will stop, this demon will stop if the descendants are dead. We still think that, do we?
I do. I think that's the only way that the show has stakes, is that if Evan has to, because it makes the trolley problem, right? But of course, he, in this particular case, has to pull the lever and to save. I mean, think about it. Oftentimes when people save the trolley problem, there's 8 people on one line. There's one. So it literally is 8 for 1, right? But the difference here, of course, is will you pull the lever when the person standing on the other rail is your son? Will you do it? And I don't think he'll be able to do it.
No, he won't be able to do it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And that does make Tom, it gives him a great plan to get those educational films out there and to let people know that this is what's going to happen. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he could bring the tourists for that specific job so he doesn't have to kill the people on the island. Maybe the tourists sign up for it. But yeah, very interesting that he's got to go into that role now, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, this is a conversation that has to happen. Wick is going to say, for example, think about just that. If Ruth is still alive, Wick is going to say, if Ruth is dead, and I don't think she is, Wick's going to say, she wasn't the last Warren. What's going on? Why is the bell still ringing? If she's still alive, then Wick is going to say, you didn't kill her. Now let's go kill her right now. And it's going to be like, no. You don't understand. It's not going to fix anything. Why? Why not? Because she's not the last. So, okay, who's the last? He's in the same situation again. The only way to make all this go away is to kill 8 people so that the bell doesn't ring again. Or kill his son,
No.
which he's not going to do. He's not going to do.
No. And I'm not sure if even Wick would be on board with killing Tom's son either.
I mean, I don't know. But Wick seems like he's just like, hey, there's one way to fix this for everybody. There's other sons out there who, like Basheer's son, right, needs to. You got to think about everybody else as well.
Oh, yeah. So was he actually born? Did we say that?
I assume that between now and season 2. I mean, I think, by the way, we could just talk about that for a minute, that I do think that the son is going to be born on the island because that's the whole setup for the next season, right? Think about Basheer. Basheer's going to be telling his wife, who's going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? That she cannot leave the island and the kid cannot leave the island because the kid will die. And he obviously cannot retire. He has to stay there. And she's going to be like, what are you talking about? You were thinking about retiring for months. You were desperate to get off this island. And now you won't let us leave the island? And she's like, I want a divorce. And he's going to be like, you can have a divorce, but my kid stays here. And she's going to think he's a crazy person.
Cool. Stakes for season 2. That's great. That's what we want.
For sure. Okay, now that we got to the end, favorite episode of the season. You have a favorite?
Yes, I do. I've got 2 favorites. It's the Boogeyman episode and it's the Patricia's Cocktails episode. Absolutely. Patricia,
it had to be
the
a Patricia
MVP.
episode. Yes, it had to be Patricia episode.
Yeah, what about yourself?
Of the 2, I prefer, but first of all, absolutely correct. Those are the 2 best ones. And of the 2, I would go, if I had to pick one, I'm going with the cocktail. That was just such an incredible episode.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that one again. I've seen the Boogeyman one twice. So yeah, I'll have to rewatch this whole season again, I think.
Yeah, so any predictions for, Hiro Murai has said that season 2 is going to just become a Monster of the Week type story again. But I don't think they can just do that, which of course, first of all, hey, I'm totally in favor of these individual episodes. They were what a blast to have a different monster in every single week. Loved it. And so that's all great. Definitely look forward to that. But I mean, this story isn't over. This is like, we know for fact that the trolley problem is literally the stakes for the next season.
Totally. Well, they just spent 10 episodes to kill one person of the 9 that needs to be killed. So, yeah, I think we're going to get a lot more next season, and I cannot wait.
I can't wait either. And hopefully we won't have to wait 3 years. Hopefully these things usually take 2 years, unfortunately. So, I mean, I think maybe 2 years. But I mean, if they could do this every year, I would love it. Nothing more.
And
they kill one person per season for 8 years. That's 9 seasons. They can do 9 seasons.
I'm down with that.
Yeah,
I think you said that they thought 3 seasons was going to be it for this show. Is that what you said?
No, I think that was Paradise we were talking about. Yeah, but the Paradise is definitely a 3-season arc. This one, I don't know if she pitched 3 seasons, but I mean, there's definitely a lot more story for season 2. The one thing, just to have one criticism here. The one thing I think would have been, for me, I would have preferred to maybe not have the reveal about Evan here, like leaving that as something that, for example, she didn't have to lay it all out. We could have had the same thing where Ruth actually dies and then it doesn't solve the problem. And then he needs to solve the mystery. And then we find out it's Evan. So the reason I mentioned that is if they knew this was going to be a 2 or 3 year arc, it could have been interesting to leave that kind of reveal, something he finds out. And the weight of that could be more traumatic if he has to do this investigation only to find out that this is the truth. Of course, they didn't know. So this kind of ends the story. You kind of say like, okay, for the moment, everything's okay. But then the bell rings 8 times. So that problem just basically resets again. So we're just starting back where we were at the beginning of the season, more or less. So that kind of ends things with a big question mark as to like, how is he going to deal with this in the future? And that would have been, so in other words, I understand why they packaged it the way they did. So it would be kind of an ending. But for me, I would have left that reveal for later on.
Interesting. Well, I like the review. I like the scene. I like Ruth revealing it. And yeah, just the amount of conjecture from the public that we wanted to see this reveal. I'm glad it happened in this episode. I would have been a little bit upset if there was another thread that didn't get resolved here.
Actually, you make a really good point. I just want to double down on that. I might have to erase what I just said because you make a really good point that the audience figured out that it was Evan. And then the show is so smart in the way it was written that they knew that people would speculate about Evan and then threw Ruth in there as a red herring, only to then actually reveal Evan. And I think you make a really good point. If everybody on the internet had figured out it was Evan and then Ruth dies at the end of the show and, oh, wait a second, the curse isn't broken. Who could it be? Everyone would be like, it's Evan. We know. We already know it's Evan.
It is. Yeah.
So they probably made the right choice. I was wrong. I think it did.
Do you have an overall deal at Apple yet, Victor?
I do not. I wish they would pay at least promote here on the podcast. If you work for Apple, send me an email. And money. No. Anyway. All right, Darren. Thank you again. Oh, so future of our conversation. So
I was going to say, what are we doing next?
Yes, very good point. So first of all, I am planning this, and I don't even know if this is going to work out for you. So on Sunday, House of the Dragon is coming back, by the way, not for you, because I know you don't watch that, but just letting the audience know. I'll probably talk about it somewhere. And The Agency comes back as a binge.
Ooh.
So do you have access to see The Agency? I think it's on Paramount Plus here. I don't know where it is overseas for you guys.
Yes, Paramount Plus. That's what I watched it on last time. So assuming it's there again. A binge is going to be interesting. That's going to be tough to get through because they were quite dense episodes, I thought.
Yes.
And yeah, so I'll do my best to at least watch the first one.
Yes. Well, that's what I was going to say. So it comes as a binge next week. We will not cover the entire series because guess what? Later next week, we also get The Bear comes back as a binge. So there's no way we're going to be able to binge 2 seasons of show. But both of those shows were popular here on the podcast. So I definitely want to cover both of them. So what I was thinking is we will discuss like 2 or 3 episodes of The Agency next week. And then the following week, we will discuss either The Bear or the remainder of The Agency or more of The Agency. Maybe we can't get through all 10 dense episodes in another week, but a couple weeks of that and The Bear in there as well. So I'm thinking that's what we'll be doing for the next couple of weeks. And then I had something that I just picked up that we could talk about for early July. It's a movie and I can't remember what it is. So I will let you know what that is. And, but yes, so I figured next 2-3 weeks, we will be discussing The Agency and The Bear. And then we have in mid-July, Lucky comes to Apple, another Apple series. And that one seems to be getting a lot of early interest. So I'm curious to see how the numbers will be. I preface this at saying that it's Anya Taylor-Joy in a thriller series, a crime thriller about a con that goes bad. And now she's on the run. This all takes place in Las Vegas. And I'm like, oh, that all sounds good. Created by the same guy, Jonathan Chopper, who created Your Friends and Family. And I'm like, ooh, well, that not so good. But I do think that's going to be our watch in mid-July. But between then and now, we have movies that are coming out. Of course, it's the middle of the summer. This is when all the big blockbusters come out. The Odyssey's coming in the middle of July as well. And in the middle of all that, of course, we'll be binging The Agency. We'll be breaking it down maybe 2 or 3 episodes per week, talking about The Bear as well. And that'll get us to mid-July, I think.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I've been looking to see each week whether there's another big movie coming out. Toy Story 5 is the one this week.
Big one.
I don't even think I saw Toy Story 4. So I probably will avoid that one. But yeah, week to week, I'm assuming there's going to be big stuff coming out at the cinema.
We had some big ones. I'm definitely going to go see Toy Story 5. I'm a big fan of Toy Story. Toy Story 4 is very funny. Not as good as the other 3, but very funny. The Keanu
Number
Reeves
2 is my
funny.
absolute favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were probably the right age for that one. So Toy Story 1, because I'm older than you are. So that was my favorite. And my daughter's favorite too. I remember watching that one over and over again. The CGI looks so terrible now, 30 years later. But given everything, it still looks pretty good. All right, Darren, thank you again for the conversation. And we will pick it up next week. We're talking about The Agency and a bunch of other stuff as well.
Cheers, Victor. Also, congrats on the Knicks win. And look out this Saturday, Australia versus USA in the World Cup. We're coming for you.
Oh, man.
And we're, let's go, mate, because it's going to be on. There is a lot of support behind it. We're called, what's that? We're called the Socceroos is our team name. And everybody is suddenly a soccer fan after a famous World Cup victory. You guys had a good victory against Paraguay, I think, 4-1.
Yeah, we're both we have the same number of points in our round robin.
Yeah, we beat Turkey 2-0. So it's on. There's plenty of barbs going back and forth, and I'm really, really looking forward to that.
I'm not as vested in this as the Knicks win, but you know what? We'll have beef next time we're on the show, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go.
All right. That's another thing to watch for sure.
All right. Cheers, mate.
The final's going to be right down the road from us, actually, right here by your house.
Oh, wow. That's huge. Yeah, good. I got to get up at like 2 a.m. on Saturday to watch
that.
To watch this. So, yeah, we'll see if that happens.
All right, Darren. Thanks.
Cheers, mate.